Hello, everyone, and once more, welcome to Radio Voice of Oslo. Today, again, with the topic on kindergarten, winter, and all the issues about surrounding Corona. So, with me is Deborah and Judy, who will be bringing us on this topic. Welcome, girls.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yes. So, Judy will start us on the importance of Barnehage and the role of adults. Why we are also bringing this topic is because, as you know very well, like when we come here, there is a Barnehage, what you need to prepare. And us as immigrants, sometimes it becomes an issue with winter and coping up with winter, what to have. I know they had already introduced this topic, but still we're having like what needs to be bought and what needs to be brought on board. So Judy, welcome, and just say out to everyone as you continue with the topic. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Judith Isaac, and I'm a mother as well as I'm a teacher working in the kindergarten.
Mm.
So I would like to invite you all as we discuss this topic about the school system in Norway, especially when it comes to kindergarten. So, like most people, sometimes are not very sure on the roles that the teachers have or what their kids are supposed to do when they go there. But I want to let you know that the kindergarten plays a very big role for the children. So, for example, it's responsible for integrating young children into the world of learning by teaching them social skills and personal hygiene, basic reading skills, art and music. All these things happen every day because it's open from the kindergarten is open from 7 to 5. So they have specific routines that they carry on. So, for example, I can say like in the morning, the children when they are delivered there, they have some time to eat their breakfast. That is from 8:30, for example, to 9. And from after 9:30, like the small kids, they have to change their diapers. And then most of them, we put them into different groups where we work with different activities. For example, some of them, they have music, and some of them we have storytelling, and maybe some of them can go out. So like every kid gets an opportunity to try on different activities and see how it's going. At the same time, we have the laws of observing the kids, like each kid on what they like to do so that we can specialize. For example, if a kid likes music, we work on such like we are going to concentrate on music on this kid. But it doesn't mean like your kid is going to concentrate just on one activity the whole day. There's a lot of activities that takes place. But for example, like now during this Corona time, we have these, we are most outside where the kids are allowed to go for a walk in the forest, for example. We have different toys that they can use outside when they're playing with the others. So it's a lot of things happening. So when you take your kid, don't be scared. Maybe they will be sitting down and they will be crying and such kind of thing. We are there to really take good care of them. We have many people who are working. For example, if we have 12 kids, there's 4 adults who are watching the kids. So we make sure or we ensure that your kid is safe, your kid is seen, and your kid is included with the others when they are playing together. Not forgetting about, I would also want to talk about when can you apply for a place for your kid? Because there are many people, I forgot to talk about it when I started. So you can apply for the place actually when you're pregnant. When you just, from 6 months, when you're pregnant, you can apply for a place in the kindergarten. This is because it takes time for you to get a place. So it's advisable for you to do it in good time. So the best is to go to the commune where you live and you find the kindergarten side and you find the school side so you can register your kid and just pick the kindergarten that you think you want your kid to start when they grow up, maybe from 8 months to 1 year, for example. But otherwise, I would just like to tell you that there's a lot of activities, there's a lot of things that we work with your kid when they're there in the kindergarten. So don't be scared to bring them to us. Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, sorry. I know we'll be muting and unmuting. So that was both the importance of Barnehage or kindergarten,
Hmm.
and then the role of adults in the
Yeah.
kindergarten, right? I'll be moving to Deborah, who will be working on the preparing child to go for the winter. We know, like winter right now with corona, and that is why actually we are talking so much about it. A lot of kids are being sent home just because they have a small flu or something like that. So Deborah will be taking us through this and preparations also to help parents go through this period. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you, Betsy, and thank you, Judy, for what the information you've passed through. I'll also add that it's a nice place, like you talk about a place for children to learn how to integrate. One important thing that is also done in kindergarten is teaching children how to solve problems by themselves. You know, kids are not small. Most of the time, some of them, when they have issues, they bring to us the adult, the mom, the father. But in the kindergarten, you teach them how to maybe say no, to have their own opinions, how to
Hmm.
say no, how to say yes to what the thing is supposed to be yes for them or what the mean is no for them. Give a scenario like maybe two kids are fighting over a spade. Maybe child A had the spade before, and then child B comes to pull it away from him, which is a typical scenario in kindergartens. So maybe the child A who had the spade will want to come to you, the adult, or will definitely come to you to tell you about the child B trying to take away the spade from him or her. So what you can do, or what workers in the kindergarten typically do, is they try to tell child A how to approach child B, and then if it doesn't work, then the adults intervene. So one important skill is problem solving. I know problem solving is something that we start learning. It's a good thing to start learning kids from as young as they are now, because something we are going to use all through our lives. And then
Hmm.
there's also cognitive skills, there's motoric skills. There's a lot of activities, as Judy mentioned, both in and out. There's always some, most people usually say, what do they even do in the kindergarten? It's just play. Yes, Norwegian kindergarten, it's centered around play, but you learn through the play. So
Hmm.
it's not just like, there are times where you do what you call organized plays, where the adults organize maybe a game or some sort of play for the kids to interact. And then there are other times that the children have their own free time to create their own play. So in that process, they learn how to include each other. They learn how to use their own cognitive skills to, or imagination. There's a lot of fantasy that goes on, and it's a good thing for development. So if I come now so I just wanted to add that in addition to what you mentioned. And then
Hmm.
we know, like you said, winter is fast approaching. Already this week, the temperatures are dropping very, very much. They're dropping really low. And like we mentioned in the part one of this topic, we talk about clothing as a very important thing, especially for immigrant parents. We as it's not uh, it's not prejudice to say immigrant parents, because we assume that most Norwegian parents, they already know what to do. Most of
Yeah.
them were born here and they know. But for most immigrant parents, especially for those who just came in, it can always be a challenge, just like we said in the other
Mm.
session. So I'll just try to, give a little tips on what parents can get for their kids and how to dress them this winter. So
Mm.
it's good to get bodies made out of wool. It's important to get gloves which are watertight, because with the snow, snow melts and the kids have to be out a couple of hours outside. So usually playing with snow, it melts, and for some of them, it gets into the gloves and they get really cold. You can imagine being an adult yourself when you touch the snow, how it is. So for the kids, it's important to get,
Mm.
when you want to get winter gloves, get gloves which are kind of watertight, so that no matter how they play, it can, it will
Mm.
resist a lot.
Mm.
And also, what we usually call strumper buksa or tights. Get good cotton
Mm-hmm.
strumper buksa or wool. We know wool are very expensive, but alternatively, one can get good cotton tights for both boys and girls. And
Yeah.
another thing would be, we call, let me just use the Norwegian words, because we know in the kindergarten that's what mostly what you'll be told to get. Dress, which is,
Mm-hmm.
it's like a jumpsuit. It's just like a jumpsuit that the kids need for the winter. The dress is really practical because, you know it's
Mm-hmm.
easy for the child to wear. It covers the entire body rather than maybe getting a trouser and a jacket. Trouser and jacket work still, but
Yeah.
I think from experience, the jumpsuit or the dress is like the best to get. And then you need the scarf, you need the hat, the winter hat. Preferably, it's even good to get the scarf. Unfortunately, like it's not possible for me to show the pictures. I would have loved to show the pictures, but hopefully in the future we can showcase some of these things so that it's easy for people to see and to know what to get. So it's advisable to get hats that are like, they're combined with the shafts. So the child just
Mm.
puts on the thing and the shaft is there, rather than getting two separate pieces, hat or shaft. So if you can, it's we will recommend getting the hat with the shaft attached. And it's also very important to make sure you put the names on the things, just like we mentioned last time, because this winter a lot of especially that's my experience, I don't know for others, but during the winter there's a lot of things that get missing because there's a lot of items to be used. There's a lot of globes, there's a lot of hats, there's a lot of shafts, those little things. Without names, it's difficult to sort them out. You can come to the kindergarten, ask them, where's my child's thing? It's not one child the workers are working with, they have quite a number of kids to take care of. So that's why they always tell you, put a name tag on your child's items.
Mm.
And even it helps the child to identify their things.
Mm.
And if I
Mm-hmm.
want to mention, like, let me give a little tip on how to dress them. I've talked about some things to get. So, how do you dress the kids this winter? It's usually threefold or three layers, which they need in the kindergarten, right? So
Mm.
you have to get these things and provide for them. It has to be in their cupboards or their shelf, whatever they have in the various kindergartens. So usually the first layer is a thin wool, like I talk about tights and bodies. So it's if you have tights and bodies which are made out of wool, that is going to really help to keep the child warm. And the second layer is where you can use the fleece or a pullover.
Mm.
And then lastly, the dress that I mentioned, that's a jumpsuit or the jacket in the other case. So all these items are very important to get and make sure your child have them so that the child does not freeze, especially those
Mm-hmm.
young ones, those very little ones who just start, their skin is very thin, so it's very easy for them to lose heat. So they need to be well clothed so that they don't face this, what we call sometimes terrible winters.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll talk about sleeping. When I just came to Norway, one of my lecturers came with her baby to school, and then when we were on break, we noticed that, or I noticed that she kept the baby out. It was like -12. The baby was in the pram. And then I was like, oh, you've forgotten the baby outside. They said, no, the child is sleeping. I was like, sleeping in this cold weather? Because I couldn't myself manage to be in that weather. So I was wondering, they said, no, the child is
Mm-hmm.
sleeping. So it was really strange for me. And I know it's the same thing for most parents who are sending their kids to kindergarten. It's strange when you have your child in that kindergarten where they have to sleep outside. It's not, I'm so sorry that I just giggle because I know it's not very common for most of us. So you have to also get the appropriate things. That child is going to sleep outside maybe for 2 hours. So all these things I just mentioned is also very important you get them, because this those sleeping outside is typically the very little ones, 10 months to about 2 years, right, Jude?
Yeah, or below.
Or below. Yeah,
Mm.
2 or below 2. I'm sorry,
Mm.
10 months or below 2. In some
Yeah.
kindergartens,
Mm-hmm.
they have facilities for them to sleep outside, inside, but in others, the kids sleep outside in their prams. So we need to get, or parents need to get sheepskin. I don't have the picture either, but yeah, if you ask for sheepskin, I'm sure most of us or most of you know about it. Or if you don't know, just go to the kid shop like Barnehage. You ask for
Mm.
sheepskin
Mm-hmm.
that you need to, just go even to ordinary clothing shops, kids clothing shop. You ask for it. If they don't have, at least they'll be able to direct you where you can get. So it's important to get that
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to layer the pram underneath. That's going to help to generate or to keep the child warm while the child is
Mm.
sleeping outside. And there are some brands which some people recommend. I will not do publicity, but for the interest, for public interest, I'll just have to name some of it, like the Stormberg, that's for the jumpsuits. There's all or for jumpsuits or jackets or the trousers, the outer trousers that they can use outside. There's Stormberg, there's Poland or Piret. Is that how it is pronounced? I
Mm-hmm.
think so. There's Helly
Exactly like that.
Hansen. Yeah, there's Helly Hansen. There's Dahl of Norway. And, these are Norwegian brands. And Norwegian brands are customized to suit the weather. You can get
Mm.
from ordinary shops, notwithstanding, but these are some very good brands that if you get, you're sure that you're getting quality things and that will ensure that child is kept warm. If we can get the new ones, like we also said in our last episode of this topic, check on Finn. Get to ask other parents if you can do exchange or you buy
Mm-hmm.
secondhand. You always get it at Freightes or the secondhand shops. You always get this stuff. So this is what we have for winter. We have to keep our children warm because let me just say this, because it's also another phenomenon or it's another question that some people raise. Why should kids be outside in this cold weather?
I was going to ask you that question actually. Do continue.
Yeah, that's part of the learning process. Living in Norway,
Mm-hmm.
you grow up, you you have to learn to adapt to the weather. So they start teaching them from this early age, from this very tender age. So that's why,
Mm-hmm.
and they spend like 30% of the day outside in the
Mm-hmm.
winter. and usually about 70% in those outside in the summer. So, to ensure that these kids, our kids don't freeze and that they have a lovely day in the kindergarten, it's good to
Mm.
get appropriate stuff for them. And and let me just mention also that especially the very young ones, the 10 months, 10 months old, that's those who have just started. If we are getting dress or jumpsuits for them, let's not get oversize. It's good to buy in anticipation of growth, but if it's too big, it makes the mobility of the child really difficult, and the child ends
Mm.
up crying a lot. So get
Mm.
appropriate size that the child can easily move in. If the child is still creeping, get appropriate size that the child will be able to creep around. If the child has started walking, appropriate size that can make the child to walk and have a lovely day. Thank you for now.
Thank you. There are questions I'll ask you guys as yeah, but before we move to the next topic on food, Judy, we talked of how to do application, and then we find like some parents, even if they apply, they don't get place. So,
Mm.
and they will need to go back to work or need to do other things like going back to school. What should they do? And then also, Deborah, on sleeping outside.
Yeah.
When should the one someone start to train a child to sleep outside? Is it before they go to kindergarten or after they go to kindergarten? They're just left to go and be introduced at kindergarten, or should the parents start it from home? So maybe we start with the Judy. And by the way, you guys, from the last presentation, we got also nice feedback because of the tips on where to buy the clothes and the second hand thing, because the woolen clothes are very expensive. So
Mm-hmm.
there was appreciation on the tips that you guys gave. Yeah. So
Mm.
yeah. So Judy, you'll start with what someone can do if they don't get. I don't know if you have an answer, yeah, for that one, but I just came up because I know of people who are struggling to get places. Yeah.
Yeah. So in case like I've been a student for many years in Norway, and we have a CEO student kindergarten, for example, that takes care of people that have kids, and at the same time they are going to school. So what you really need to do before you apply to any other kindergarten, you need to put a priority to CEO student Barnehage in Norwegian. I'm very sure they'll give you a place because they have a lot of kindergartens around, especially in town. They have one in, like three of them in Songsvan or Crenshaw. They have one in Brindan. They have in many in Bishlet as well. So you should prioritize on applying on CEO student Banhagen. At the same time, you can apply to the commune Banhagen or Priva Banhagen. The thing you need to do is to follow up. You really need to follow up. If it's making a phone call, you really need to call them and tell them why you need the place as soon as possible. Because sometimes they prioritize people like students or people who
Mm-hmm.
really have other needs to do when the kid is in the kindergarten. So it's good for you to follow up. It's very good to call and say, this is what I need and this is why I need this place and such. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And I
Mm.
think there is also something called Open Banahage, whereby
Yeah.
you can just pop in, but the parent has to be there to take care of the child. So that's a different. I don't know whether they are organized childcare outside the Banahage. If, for example, you don't get a place and you don't have an au pair and you have to go back to work, if there's anything, maybe we'll do a research and and know if there's something organized like that. But
Yeah,
maybe Deborah.
I can comment about that. They are called mamadag in Norwegian, mothers who take care of kids also. So if you don't
Oh yeah, yeah,
actually
that
find
mama.
a place, yeah, so if you don't find a place, you can always
Mm-hmm.
pay them, and there are so many. If you check on the internet, you can get, there are so many. Like in Oslo, we have some in Drammen, we have in different places. So you just need to
Mm-hmm.
check out, and then you can get one woman who can take care of your kid as you go to school. So, but the problem is there's no activity that goes on it's just like a normal day, like just sitting with the kid and giving them food and putting them to sleep, for example. But if you're so much in need, it's okay to use those kind of people that are put there in the society.
Okay. Thank you, Deborah.
Mm,
Yes, about sleeping outside.
Mm.
Maybe it can be a good idea because usually the cases most or usually it's such that some kids start like when they are 10 months. So maybe it can be a good. I think it can be advisable to to start preparing the kid from home,
mm,
just like from 9 months and a half before the start, so that they get used to it. Yeah, but one thing I so far I know is usually the children sleep really good outside. Especially when they're well clothed. So that's why we're talking about. I was trying to emphasize on getting good things for these little ones, the sheepskins and all the good wool they need, because usually they sleep really good. I don't know how. I can't explain why, but that's just what happens.
Okay.
So it's there are some kids sometimes who like cry, but from what I've heard from some workers, it's usually because of the clothing what they
yeah.
have on. Yeah,
Mm,
so it's good to try to train them from home if one can.
Mm-hmm.
mm.
Yeah, otherwise they can
Yeah.
start from the kindergarten.
Mm.
Thank
But I would like to add something to what the border you're saying. For example, there are kids who have special needs. There are
Okay.
kids that
Mm,
they need to be watched. So
mm,
such kind of kids, we put them in a room with an adult who stays
mm,
with them, for example, until they are sleeping. So they don't need to be outside because they need someone to watch them all the
mm,
time until they wake up. So
Mm.
it depends with your situation. And if you have a very special situation, like you don't want your kid to sleep outside, it's good to talk with the teachers or with the adults who work in that kindergarten, and then you can discuss about it and they can consider on what to do.
mhm,
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we
Mm.
roll it to food. We don't know matpake. That has never been our culture. I think a lot of us still struggle with that, and probably the type of food also we do at home is not the one that you can pack in matpake. So maybe we start with Deborah on the food. Thank you.
Yeah, we know mat packet. It's very important in the kindergarten. And I'll also refer to, because we have also mentioned this in the last episode, or in the last part of this topic. Most schools don't, or most kindergartens don't do food anymore. So they don't sell food
Mm.
anymore for most of them because of the current corona situation. Because the thought behind it is usually maybe it's some one person or two people who have to be there to make food for the whole kindergarten. So in case
Mm,
of an outbreak, then everybody gets infected. So that's why
mm,
Mm.
some have just decided to stop it entirely. So parents are now required to bring two mat packer or lunch boxes every day. What should we get into this lunch boxes? Proper food. When I say proper food, doesn't necessarily mean warm food, but
mhm,
a balanced diet. Bread, it's carbohydrate, some proteins. You can maybe a boiled egg or an omelette, some
mm,
fruits or some vegetables. Um, you can just slice some paprikas, especially the red ones. Kids love that. Some paprikas, some cucumbers, and then like blueberries. The berries, they're also very nutritive.
okay.
So bread is a typical item in the Norwegian lunch boxes. In order to get the child not to get so bored of it,
Mhm,
it's advisable to get like different, what they call po, like different toppings. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
on a slice of bread. Usually the bread is taken. Usually what I see parents do, they cut it in two. And then for the very small kids, because I think it's also something that needs to be also that we need to also like explain or give as a tip to parents out there. For the very small kids, you can take a piece of bread, remove the outer layer, the hard ones, cut it off, and
Mm-hmm.
just leave the inner part, which is softer, for the kids to just, some of them can't really chew, just suck it.
Mm.
Put, maybe if the child loves butter, there's what they call shinkeost. There is mackerel et tomate,
Mm-hmm.
and there is what lever postai. Yeah, that's,
Mm.
yeah, it's like pate. So those,
Okay.
if you put differently in that, you take a piece of bread, cut it in four, and maybe put what the child loves to eat, or put two of them, so that
Mm-hmm.
even if he doesn't eat one, then he will love the other one. So in that case, the child has something to eat. So it's
Mm.
important to find out what your children love. The children love eating, so that we prepare them with, you make them to get what they will eat, and not
Mm.
necessarily coming back every day home with a full mud packer which has not been touched at all. If your child loves warm food, it can be advisable to talk with the kindergarten. If they have the possibility of warming it, they will tell you to bring. But otherwise, you will have a different advice for them. So it's good that we also train the kids with bread and other things. There is also like there's a little flask, a thermos. It's like a cup. It's really small that you can put something warm for the kid in. If you want to give a child warm food, if you buy that, then you don't have to bother about the things being warm, because it will be warm until the child eats it. So that can, especially this winter, it can be advisable. And this is just in the case where the child doesn't really love eating bread. So if you have to get warm food once in a while, but it's good to alternate what the child eats. But most importantly, that the food is well balanced.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hmm.
Judy, you'll contribute that, and then you take on how is the situation like with Corona and winter, just as you summarize, because we are rounding up almost, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, about the food, I agree with what Deborah is saying. But I want to let the parents know one thing, that when this Barnehage or kindergarten is serving the food to the kids, they eat
Mm-hmm.
everything. They don't choose what is cold and what is warm. They eat everything. So it's good for the kids. When you're packing, just let them try. Don't be scared like maybe they're
Hmm.
not going to touch, or because when
Hmm.
they are sitting with the other kids, they eat very good. They
Good.
might not
Mm-hmm.
finish all the food, but they eat very good. And another thing is that no, like they're not serving the warm food now, but at least most of the kindergartens are serving warm food once in a week, just
Mm-hmm.
simple food that they order from outside. So at least they get some things to eat at the end of the day, some warm food once in a while, like once in a week. Yeah, and also I would like to advise you, if your kid is from 3 to 6 years, what I normally do, I take my sons with me to the supermarket and I try to give them a chance to choose the topping that they like best, or the type of bread, because there are so many different types of breads in the
Mm-hmm.
supermarket. So, and when they choose that, we use that for 1 week, and then the other week we also go and choose a different topping, so that we can encourage them to
Okay.
eat what they like, for example.
Hmm.
Yeah, so, and about the winter, as we've talked a lot about the winter. So if you really don't know what type of clothes to buy, the kindergarten, they give a list of the types of clothes that you need. And if you're not sure about it, or if it's, for example, in Norwegian, you need to ask them to translate for you. And if you don't know where to find them, tell them to show you. They will take their time and show you where to get them and what type of clothes you need. All those things you can get from the kindergarten. So don't be afraid to ask. call for a meeting. If you really need help, call for a meeting. Ask the teachers what you really need to know. Ask what is best for your kid, and I'm very sure that you're going to get some help from them. Yeah,
Thank you. Deborah,
yeah,
on winter, and as you close.
Yes, on winter, I would just say get the right things, make sure the kids have all the necessary things that they need, and of course, make them to experience winter and enjoy it. Winter is
mm,
just one part of the season. It comes with it's beautiful with the snow. You need to see your kids play in the snow, you won't believe. So
yeah.
just get them the right things, and I'm sure they are going to have a wonderful day or wonderful winter days.
Mm.
Yes.
Can I say one thing, Beatrice? And also, if you really feel like you really need some help with the clothes or anything about the winter clothes, just take some contact with Beatrice, because we have some parents who have used clothes, and sometimes we don't know where to take them, or we take them to Freetex. So if anyone needs some help, if you really, really need some help, you need to take contact with Beatrice, and we can find a way to help you. We can reach to you.
I think that's a really good one. Yeah.
Mm,
And we
mm,
can probably write maybe in the comment box. And if there are
yeah,
other also people are wondering if they have some other questions, they can as well drop it there, and we can get get some information, and always willing to share.
yeah, yeah. Mm,
Thank you. Okay, thank you guys, and thank you our viewers and listeners. We'll drop in some information on the comment box so that you get links where to get help from, or when it comes to clothing, how to get your clothing. Otherwise, till next week. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Deborah, for showing up, and have a good
yeah.
Thank
evening.
you.
Yeah,
Bye.
A good
yeah.
evening. Bye.
Yeah.